showing you why Superbook has the best odds around. And right now, you can look ahead to Hockey and Hoops postseason and place a bet on who you think will take home the title. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com to wager and win today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-589-9966. Call 1-800-589-9966. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-589-9966. Call 1-800-589-9966.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
Well, it's a patented key ingredient called testofen. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. It's backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text ALL to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone-boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now, and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ALL to 42424. That's ALL to 42424. Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It's the Kinner and Kev Show here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, though?
Happy Wednesday.
Good Wednesday to you, sir.
I'm excited to see this. See under my hat?
Yeah.
About to go get a nice little haircut.
I got a haircut this morning.
Following the show. Going to get a nice fade.
There you go. It's too early in the show for that.
Too early in the show. Hope everyone's had a great day. I know I've had a great day. I know Kev's had it. He's here.
I'm here.
He's here.
No, it's been a great day. Started the day off by hitting the gym. I've been consistently going to the gym. Starting next week, I'm going to level it up a little bit, get back into weight training because I took like about a month off from the gym. So just getting my cardio back in order. But, Monday we're about to start clanging and banging those weights again. So it started out good. Got a haircut this morning. Got a lot of work done before the show. Did some show prep for a change. So, I'm ready. I'm active.
And look, so we got the holiday help out coming out next month. It's wild that we're heading into the month of November. The holiday help out, of course, we'll reveal the final details of where we're going to be accepting donations and everything. But we got our TV, we're doing some TV tomorrow.
I'll be ready.
I'm pretty jacked. I'm pretty excited. And I'm really excited for the holiday help out. After last year is the first year that we kind of did it on our own, and we have a firehouse this year.
Yeah.
We now know what firehouse. We'll reveal all that stuff in the coming days. But we want to, this is something cool that a friend of ours, Faith Daniels on WROU, has done for years, where she actually lives at the fire station in Trotwood and accepts donations for 3-4 straight days. She's more committed than I guess I'm not as good a person, because we're going to be out there for hours and hours and hours accepting donations the weekend before Thanksgiving to help collect, obviously canned goods and donations, perishable items and all that stuff, but to create some Thanksgiving Day dinners for a lot of families in need here in the Miami Valley. So I'm pretty jacked about that.
Awesome. It's an awesome thing to be a part of. I've been a part of it for many years with Faith. Like you said, she lives at the firehouse. Yep. I just show up like at 8 in the morning, and then I leave about 6 o'clock and I sleep in my own bed. So, but it's an awesome thing that we're doing, man. So like you said, more details coming later on this week.
All right. So I want to talk about this. I found this interesting, a little baseball to open things up, because yes, baseball's still going on, but the World Series, one of the teams that's in the World Series happens to just be a team that finished with 2 more wins than the Cincinnati Reds. Right. And I think this, and I'm not going where everyone's going to, I'm not going where everyone thinks I'm going to go with this. I just see a lot of tired arguments on social media that is trying to use like, oh, see if the Reds would have tried. The Reds should have tried at the deadline. I'm mad that they didn't make a move at the deadline. However, as we currently sit here right now, the Diamondbacks going on this run, this is why, I mean, you can make the argument that it does make sense to be aggressive at the deadline. Just get in. You know, you hear that all the time in a lot of sports, just get in, you know, the NCAA tournament, just get in. And normally I would be one of those that's like, okay, I'm mad that the Reds didn't make a move to try to better their chances in the second half of the season. However, if the Reds' problems in the second half of the season were pitching and only pitching, you would hear me be a little bit louder about that. The Reds had other issues that had they added pitching, it wouldn't have guaranteed that they would have, you know, been the Diamondbacks in this situation. But again, just get in and see what happens. Obviously, that's the situation we're in. But what people love to do as well is to look at the payrolls of these teams. I love the journey for both of these right now. So you have the Phillies and the Diamondbacks last night that finalized that series. The Diamondbacks or the Phillies had a payroll of $124 million. All right. The Diamondbacks had a payroll of $34 million. The Rangers have a payroll that is well north of $120 million as well. And I am at the point where we're heading into the offseason. We make a lot about the fact that the Guardians made the playoffs last year with the lowest payroll in baseball, right? And that the Reds, man, if they would have just their payrolls, you know, they didn't pay anybody. They didn't go get players. I actually think of all the sports that payroll means the absolute least as far as a correlation between your spending and your success out on the field. I think baseball is at the top. There is, I don't buy into this correlation of you got to spend to win. I think in football, you have to spend to win. Basketball, you have to spend to win. It doesn't guarantee anything, but there's a correlation between the football teams who are the most aggressive and go over the cap. More times than not, those teams are in position to either make the playoffs or win a Super Bowl. There's a correlation there. In baseball, there are examples all the time of the top spending teams who don't succeed, the least spending teams succeed. We see it all the time. I think baseball, I could be wrong though, but my take is baseball is the one sport that payroll means the absolute least as far as using that as an indicator of the teams that spend the most leads to direct results on the field.
Yeah, because there's no salary cap in baseball. So there's no reason for any team not to spend any type of money. There's no excuse for the team that I follow versus the team you're following, the Cincinnati Reds, not to go the extra mile to get another bat, to get another glove, to get another pitcher out there. So when fans scream and hoop and holler about, oh man, they're not spending money, we're at the bottom, is because they know like it doesn't matter. There isn't a cap that you can't go over. This isn't the NBA. This isn't the NFL where you have to stay at a certain cap. These ownership groups in Major League Baseball have it set in their mind like, no, there's not a cap for the league, but there's a cap for my team that I'm willing to spend. And they're only willing to spend when they deem themselves good enough to win the World Series. You know, I think it was maybe like 7-8 years ago when the Indians/Guardians played in the World Series versus the Cubs. That year, they were spending money. And matter of fact, they spent money the next year too, because it was quote unquote window. As soon as that window, they deemed that window closing, they were selling off parts left and right and then going back to their, you know, more frugal ways. So I totally understand where fans are coming from. Like, hey man, if we would have just got this guy or we would have got that guy, that could have put us over the hump and we could have potentially been in this spot where the Diamondbacks are.
Yeah, and again, you look at the fact that the Cincinnati Reds payroll year by year, if you just go back to 2019, I mean, let's talk about all the playoff success that the Reds have had, and we're done. If you go by that, I mean, the payroll over the years, I mean, you go all the way back. Let's go. So in 2023, a payroll of $82 million. They had more success than last year's team. Last year's team was a 100+ loss team. Actually, it was 100 loss exactly. The Reds lost 100 games exactly in 2022. They had $114 million on the books. This season, way more competitive, just missed the playoffs, had a payroll of $82 million. I'm not a believer that the payroll is a true indicator of whether you're going to be a successful team or not, especially in baseball. Just my take as far as that's concerned. People make so much about, the Reds don't have a shot with the Yankees and everyone's spending on. Where are the Yankees? Oh yeah, they're watching the playoffs. They've watched the same amount of playoff games from their home the way the Reds have, and there's constant examples of that as far as that goes. What sport is the most crucial? I feel like it's the NFL. The NFL is the one sport that you will not succeed if you are not spending money. If you look at all the non-playoff teams, they're always in the bottom of payroll, and you look at the most aggressive team. The 49ers, they're a Super Bowl contender. The Eagles, Super Bowl contender. The Browns is the Browns. No, but like all those, the Rams, people making a big deal about getting rid of draft picks and all this stuff, and they're spending a ton of money. Well, they have a Super Bowl to show for it. The NFL to me is the one sport that there is, in my opinion, a direct correlation between aggressive money spending and success on the field. The Browns spend a lot of money, but they're having success. It's just not the playoff success.
Right.
They're failing. The Browns are failing. It's as simple as that. I mean, the story's not done as for the 2023 season, and it's trending towards, something I like. They're winning games right now. But yeah, spend money to win games. Football, to me, there's a direct correlation there.
I want to say yes. I want to lean towards the NBA, but I'm making a counter argument towards the NBA because of the max contracts. And, sometimes in the NBA, a max contract player isn't necessarily a max contract player. You're just due for a max and you're going to get the max because that's kind of like how it goes. I'm very interested to see how, now that the new CBA is going in the works in the NBA, how that's going to work out. So I'm going to lean towards the NFL on, hey, if you spend money, you win games, and that correlates into hopefully hoisting a trophy for your favorite team. But those teams that do dabble over the cap and everything like that, I mean, at Minnesota, they were like at the cap mark last year, and they won a ton of those one possession games last year. And now it's on the opposite side of that. So it's kind of like, and they also haven't spent as much money as they did last year. So, they let, multiple guys on their defense go. They let Dalvin Cook go to get under the cap and everything like that. So I'm interested to see if Minnesota can actually make this push and push the Lions in the down there, the NFC Central.
I thought I found a good chart here, but it's making you pay $199.
You got it.
So,
you just gave away $2,000 last week
with all that radio money, as far as that's concerned. But it's the Kenner and Kev show right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. The thing too about baseball is you can spend money on a big name and have a significantly no-name player still give you the same kind of production. That's why the Reds were competitive this year, because they were doing like these, production by production. Matt McClain was as productive of any of the top shortstops out there, the highest paid shortstops. He was giving you their value. That's why the Reds are winning games. When you get value, but again, it's all a gamble. When you spend money, it's a gamble that those guys come in and contribute. When you don't spend money and you're taking a chance on a scrap heap guy, you're gambling that he is going to have a career year. I think baseball is the biggest crapshoot when it comes to correlation between spending money and success on the field. But I'd rather my team spend money than
that was just be my question. What was going to be my question? Would you rather your team not spend money or drop that bag?
Drop that bag.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be
because even if you don't win it, you had a good regular season. I mean, obviously what's going on out there in LA with the Dodgers, I'm sure they're ticked off, but they had a great regular season. It was fun. The 162 games, right? Wasn't so fun for me up there in Cleveland during my 162. It was over by 68 games in. I was like, oh yeah, this is not happening. This is not going to end well for us. We're not going to make the playoffs. At least, they made the playoffs. Made it more interesting.
This idea that the Reds are going to be significantly better next year because they're going to spend money this offseason, maybe we don't know. There's not enough evidence to prove that. But I want to feel better about the Reds spending money than when they didn't spend a dime last year. So who knows? Got a lot of good guests coming up for you here on today's program. We'll be joined by Jason Fitz when we come back from Yahoo Sports, and then former Buckeye Bobby Carpenter. Oh, the sign stealing, they don't matter. You still got to stop them, right? Well, we're going to talk with Bobby Carpenter, who, he'll be able to bring his players' experience to this conversation. Just how much does that matter? We'll talk about that with Bobby later. Let's talk a little college football and NFL with Jason Fitz from Yahoo Sports. We'll be right back.
Fitzy.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
Well, it's a patented key ingredient called testofen. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. It's backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text ALL to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now, and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ALL to 42424. That's ALL to 42424. Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
And we are back. It's the Kenner and Kev Show, Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Text into the show, 518-1410, 518-1410. We're about to get to our next guest here in just a second, but I want people to start sending in and texting their responses to this. Which sport do you think spending money has the least impact on production on the game itself? And I hope I asked that correctly. I probably didn't. But the bottom line is with the World Series in place, you have one of the highest spending payrolls in baseball against one of the lowest spending payrolls in baseball. And I hear Reds fans here in the Miami Valley all the time say, well, the Reds, they're not even trying to win. They didn't even spend any money. Well, the Guardians last year's playoffs were the least. They had the lowest payroll in baseball, won the division, made the playoffs. All right. The Reds spent more money in 2022 than they did in 2023, and they were a 100-loss team when they had a $114 million payroll, and they were an 80-plus win team in 2023 with one of the lowest payrolls in baseball. So I think baseball is the one sport that has the least impact as far as the correlation between money spent and success out on the field. What say you, Mr. Fitz? Do you think baseball is the one sport that is you can't base success of teams based on the payroll?
I mean, I think that's probably the best example, as you were saying. And I was trying to figure out where hockey stood in that, but I feel like even in hockey, eventually you have to invest in some people. So yeah, I'll give it baseball.
And what about the sport that there is a direct correlation of the more money you spend, it's a high percentage chance of it leading to success? I kind of say football. For me, NBA is right up there, but I think the NFL, you look at all the Super Bowl contenders and pretty much all the playoff teams, those are the teams that have spent the most money. Now, those are the teams with quarterbacks too. So,
yeah, I think, it's interesting because you have to spend so much for success in the NBA, like astronomical amounts for success in the NBA, because you have to max level mid players, right? Yep. So I do think that it's interesting because just spending money doesn't make you great in the NBA, but you have to spend enough money to be relevant in the NBA. I think where you always have to output cash is, in football, but it's not the way people think. Like, I had ESPN run the numbers before I left at one point, and the highest paid player at their respective position has only won a Super Bowl one time in the last 15 years, and that's Rob Gronkowski. So if we don't include kickers. So having the highest paid isn't there, but you got to have a ton of people that are making really good money to do it. Like, you got to have, a top 5 guy at basically every position and get really lucky. So I think there's correlation in the NFL. It's interesting, though. You have to spend money in the NBA for nothing.
Yeah. So moving to the biggest story in sports going on right now, Michigan and this whole stealing signs scandal and everything like that. What's your take on this situation with Jim Harbaugh? Like, when they eventually do get punished, he's not going to be around. So what can the NCAA actually do to Michigan that's really going to thump them? Because the guy that's in charge of the program, he'll just run to the NFL and take another job.
Yeah, that's the hardest part about it, because the NCAA has even also said that they like to be cautious in punishing anybody that's no longer there. So I think, will there even be a significant punishment? I don't know. Like, this is a weird thing, guys, because I don't really think stealing signals is like the biggest thing in the world. I don't think it's like this epic, oh my God, the sky is falling. But it's a rule for a reason, right? So if you think the rule is stupid, then there's plenty of time to fix the rule in the off season and not do it. Like, you don't get to turn around and get, busted for speeding going 20 miles over the speed limit and then look at the cop and be like, yeah, but the speed limit on this road is stupid. Like, that's just, it doesn't work that way. And you also don't get to look at the cop and be like, yeah, but everybody else is doing it. Like, you're still going to get the ticket. So they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar in a very, very, very big way. I think right now, the clearest thing to me is when things like this and cheeseburgers are becoming a thing, it tells you somebody's out there trying to make sure that Michigan gets caught doing what they're doing.
And again, it's the act of sign stealing to me that, like, I'm with you, and we're going to talk with Bobby Carpenter coming up around the corner, and I'm going to ask him about.
I love Bobby. Say hi for me.
I definitely will. And the one thing I'm looking forward to talking to him about is he's going to be able to bring us that player's perspective. Okay, Bobby, you play on the defensive side of the ball. If you played for Michigan and you know exactly what every play that is coming down the pipe based on the sign stealing stuff, how much of an advantage does that give him? It's one thing for us to say that, but for a guy like him, I am curious to see what he says on that. But we're saying sign stealing not that big of a deal, and I agree with you. But I think it's the way that Michigan went about it, or whoever it was that went rogue in this situation, however they want to frame it. It's the way they went about doing it. I know people say it's not that big a deal, but if it wasn't that big of a deal, why would they go through and jump through all these hoops to secretly do it? I guess that's always my counter to that.
I mean, and the other side of it is, all right, I love to play a game in life. I love to call this game the shoes on the other foot game. So, it's very simple. Like, let's take the exact same scenario, but reverse roles. So I would just challenge any Michigan fan that says, this is not a big deal. If it was Nick Saban in Alabama, would it not be a big deal? I think we all know the answer to that. So, like, Alabama people are going to be like, no, this is a huge deal. Ohio State people are going to say, this is epic. But if it was Ohio State that got busted, Ohio State people would be saying, this is no big deal. And Michigan people would be saying, this is everything. Like, this is the hypocrisy that runs fandom in the way we react to these things. I at some point, and the rule really exists for anybody that doesn't know, the whole reason that this rule exists is because there were a bunch of schools that couldn't afford back in the day to send people to every game. So they put this rule in place so that low-funded schools didn't feel the pressure to suddenly send somebody to in-person scout all of these different football games. So, like, knowing that context and saying, okay, does it really matter in today's game? Probably not. I'd love to hear what Bobby says about how much an advantage it really gives you. But then the other side of it is, like, even if Bobby says there's no advantage to it whatsoever, does it change the fact that a rule was being brazenly broken? And if you're out there just absolutely destroying the rules on this one, what other rules are you destroying? Like, at some point, there has to be some level of, here are the rules we all play by, whether they're stupid or not.
So this week in college football, we got some solid matchups. We got Georgia and Florida. We got Oregon and Utah. We got Duke and Louisville. But this is kind of one of those weeks where those upsets typically happen. But when we talk to you next week, it's going to be the first week of the CFP rankings. What do you think is going to happen this weekend, and fallout's going to be what?
I think this weekend we're going to see more emphasis on blowouts than we've seen in years in college football. Like, if you're Oregon, you got one loss on your resume, right? You're going into Utah, who hasn't lost there in like 7,432 games, right? Like, so, like, you're going into Utah. Bo Nix has a reputation, deserved or not, of not being a great road quarterback. If you're Oregon and you believe to this day, and I do think Oregon has an argument for their every bit as good as Washington, they lost that game. It happens. You need to go in and beat Utah in Utah by a bunch. If you're Georgia that you just mentioned, I don't think that there's any way, shape, or form that Georgia can be number one on anybody's ranking right now based solely on this year. And I keep reminding people, the College Football Playoff Committee is specifically instructed to not factor in previous years in the results. So the only thing they can judge Georgia on is these games this year. So if you're Georgia, you don't just need to beat Florida. You need to beat the snot out of Florida, because every single fan that says, well, they haven't lost and they're two-time defending national champions. If a committee member values the two-time defending national champion portion of this, they should be removed from the committee because they are not doing their jobs.
Who's your top six going into this week then?
I knew you were going to pin me down. I put Washington. Like, I'm going to put Washington at 1, I think. But I also, like, if I was on the committee, I'm good with Washington 1, Florida State 2, I'm good with those. I'm good with Michigan 3, even though they haven't played anybody, like nobody, but they've looked so good doing it. Like, my problem with Georgia is that Georgia hasn't looked good. Actually, Ohio State 3, then Michigan at 4. I will put Georgia at 5 and Oklahoma. No, I'm putting Oregon at 6. I think on a neutral field, Oregon could beat Oklahoma. So I'm putting Oregon at 6.
Okay, fair enough.
Pac-12 bias. I got Pac-12 bias all over the place this year, I feel like.
They going out with a
I'm
bang.
the one guy that's ever had that, yeah. I'm like the one guy that's out here flying the Pac-12 flag.
The Pac-12, they had a little bit more of those media biases, and maybe they wouldn't be going kaput here, at the end of the season. So,
speaking of the Pac-12, USC, obviously they don't play defense out there. Obviously, Caleb Williams is the Heisman Trophy winner. He's trying to be Superman. He's trying to do too much, and that's causing some of these turnovers. Still going to be a top 3 pick in the NFL draft, but Lincoln Riley is starting to get hot out there. He's not allowing players to talk to the media after losing. They got blown out by Notre Dame the week before. They have lost to Utah, not only at Utah, but on a neutral field, and now they lost at home. So it's a clean sweep out there. So USC, what's going on?
Yeah, I think Lincoln Riley is spun up about all the wrong things. I genuinely believe that. Like, if you go back to the LA Times, they had an issue before the season started with the local reporter having a kid, brand new on the beat, had his access suspended for 3 weeks because he wrote about something that was said in plain view of every reporter by 2 players before they went to the podium. Like, everybody was there to hear it. It was no big deal. And Lincoln Riley felt that was a violation. So they suspended him, and it turned into a big hoopla out there in L.A. But at the time, I looked at that, and I said, man, you know what that tells me? It tells me that Lincoln Riley is worried about the wrong things. And if he's worried about the wrong things, that's going to play its way out in the process of this. Like, Caleb Williams, you're right, trying to do too much. They're not playing any defense whatsoever. I don't think the offensive play calling has been good enough. And when you get paid what Lincoln Riley gets paid, he ain't getting paid to finish second in the Pac-12. Like, he's getting paid to win national championships. Like, I think you could argue already right now that this season has been a fail for USC. And for all of this, like, where's Lincoln going to go? And is he going to go to the pros? Okay. The number one question everybody needs to start asking Lincoln Riley is, at what point are you going to value complementary football? Because if you never value complementary football, I don't believe you can win a championship in the modern college football age. You got to at least care, like pretend like you care about getting the occasional defensive stop. Otherwise, you're putting too much pressure on your offense every day.
You know, it's funny because I think there's a direct correlation between when you think of Lincoln Riley, you think of Ryan Day, you think of Ryan Day, you think of Lincoln Riley. The way they started their coaching careers in college, very similar, replacing legends at their respective schools, keeping it going, to basically taking already solid offensive schools and turning them into offensive juggernauts before, of course, he went to USC. But the thing that's interesting is we always just chalked it up to, well, Ryan Day's an offensive mind, Lincoln Riley's an offensive mind. Obviously, that shows that all offense, no defense. But all of a sudden, Ryan Day, they make the right hire with Jim Knowles as defensive coordinator. Now, all of a sudden, it's a team that knows how to play defense. So he's showing it is possible if you prioritize a defensive coordinator that can come in and revamp your defense. Lincoln Riley, you could still be the biggest offensive mind in the country, but it doesn't mean that you can't take, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes in the offseason to try to find someone who gives a damn about defense. I think that Ryan Day, what he's done at Ohio State, should even up the pressure even more at USC, saying, Lincoln Riley, I don't care how much of an offensive mind you are. We got to play somewhat of a little bit of defense, especially heading to the Big Ten.
And they got the money to do it.
Yeah. Right. When you have unlimited funding and you have the abilities that they have, and you have the stars that they have, and the recruiting that they have, you're absolutely right in everything you just said. And I'll add one element to it. I talked to an NFL front office guy recently that works for a team, and we were just talking about the process of hiring coaches. And one thing that was pointed out to me that I really sort of blew my mind, I never thought of, is that part of the reason teams are hesitant to hire defensive-minded coaches is because, you know, if you hire the right offensive coordinator, that coordinator almost immediately is going to get an offer to go somewhere else because everybody loves offensive coordinators, which means your guy's going to have to hire a new offensive coordinator every couple of years. He's going to have to keep getting it right. That's a pressure that offensive coaches don't face because you can have the best defense in all of college football or the NFL, and most of the time you're keeping that job. Think of how long it took Brent Venables to suddenly find the right opportunity to jump off, right? Like, if you are a great defensive coordinator, you're going to be stuck as a coordinator. So I look at these offensive coaches, Lincoln Riley included, and I say, man, if you can't get that right, that's squarely at your feet. Like, that's one of the few, and you don't have to do it that often. You just got to get it right once, and it should last you 5 years as opposed to getting it right once on the offensive side and having to redo it every other year, right? Like, there's a grace that should be given to the situation when you're hiring an offensive guy. But if you're an offensive guy that can't find a defensive guy, that's a problem.
Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports, hanging out with us, Kenner and Kev Show, 1410 Wing AM. Here's a constant battle that Kev and I have and our listeners, and it's just a philosophy on, college football as a whole right now. The college football playoff era, in my eyes, has taught us that you cannot win a national championship unless you have an elite level offense. And I say that because I'm looking at a team like Ohio State now, who finally, if this defense would have been matched with the offenses they've had the last couple of years, there's a national championship in there somewhere, in my opinion. And now they finally get the defense figured out, and the offense has taken a step back. I'm getting a lot of heat because I say Ohio State offensively is not good enough to win a national championship, and I don't care how good the defense is. But on the flip side, we're talking about Lincoln Riley has this big, mega-powered, high-powered offense. Ryan Day's had that the last 2 years, and the defense kept him out. I know the simple answer is you need to be a well-rounded team, but let me ask you, Jason, which side of the ball is it most important to be dominant at? Is it offense or defense? Defense wins championships, but the history of the playoff has taught us if you're not elite offensively, you're not winning a national title.
Yeah, you're by the way, 1,000% right about that. Like, your defense doesn't have to be great. Your defense needs to be able to get a couple of key stops. Important stops in important moments defines good enough defense in college football. Like, that's what you need. And the problem with USC is that they don't cover well and they don't rush the passer well. And by the way, they're terrible on third down. Like, you can't do anything in that. The reason that you mentioned the offenses, I mean, we see it every single time. At some point in the college football playoff, it comes down to a couple of key, easy things to predict: size and rotation on the defensive line. If you got big boys like Georgia's had for the last couple of years, and you got a bunch of them, you just keep rotating them. And frankly, I don't care what level of football we're talking. We can talk about high school football. There are not enough quality offensive linemen to take on the number of quality defensive linemen there are all the way at every level of football. So if your defensive line is deep and you got a bunch of big boys and you can rotate guys in, you are going to win 9 times out of 10. So you better have an explosive offense that can get big chunk plays in big opportunities, because otherwise you just can't. You can't rely on a TCU like, oh, we're just going to see what we can do. Like, that doesn't work. You don't even need great quarterback play. You need an offense that can get big chunk plays all over the place to be able to take on these defenses that have huge boys up front.
And it's funny, though, because this is like Ohio State is just creating a lot of conflicts for a lot of my arguments. And I quickly get countered and then I shut up because I'm like, oh, no, that's a good point. Ohio State, and this is the hypocrisy of how the playoff is formed here, because Ohio State, when I put out my rankings, Ohio State should be in the college football playoff. There's no doubt about it. But Kenner, you say there's no chance they could win a national championship. Well, yeah, I'm a hypocrite. I have no clue what I mean by that, because I'm like, I can't pick a team to win a national title that has a bad offensive line that can't run the football and is getting average quarterback production. But yet I'm also saying that they're a top 4 team in the country. You can't have it both ways. I'm so
because they have the wins.
It's like it's just it's such a twisted sport. Like,
well, somebody explained to me how that, like, the two sides of the ugliest game I've watched. I actually said on Yahoo after watching the Ohio State-Penn State game, I did my recap video starting it by saying, "You're welcome, America. I watched this game so you didn't have to." Like, it was ugly.
Yes.
Yeah, but like, let's think about this. Penn State had one job: take away Marvin Harrison Jr. And they couldn't do that job. Like, he went off in that game. And despite the fact that he went off in that game, by the way, Ohio State's offense looked ugly. Like, I heard Heather Dinnichen, who does such great work, and I'm such a fan of everything Heather does. I heard her on radio say, are we watching either of these teams and saying, yeah, that feels like a national championship contender? Like, I think it's fair to look at that and say, my God, like, at some point, you need your offense to be clicking. And even when Marvin Harrison Jr. was going off and absolutely uncoverable, Ohio State's offense still looked meh, right? So I think your concerns are real. Like, I mean, this sort of thing, like, what you can get by with in the regular season is not the same as what will win you a playoff game. And I think sometimes you need to think less about what will win you a playoff game and more about very specifically what loses one playoff game on one bad day, because that's all it takes in the playoffs to be eliminated.
Transitioning over to the NFL real quick, the Browns officially going to put Deshaun Watson down for a couple weeks maybe and go start PJ Walker as they go to Seattle. What's your thoughts about Deshaun and his performance in that game versus the Colts? He only threw 5 passes, but a lot of them were intercepted and thrown into the ground.
Yeah, Deshaun hasn't looked good enough. I know he had one good game, but here's the hardest thing, in talking on some of our shows today about Deshaun. What I can't wrap my head around, because the insiders I've talked to have made it very clear that there's a couple of things the organization is factoring in. One, the injury history of Baker Mayfield, and they feel like, hey, because we've learned from that, we need to make sure that we we take better care as an organization of our quarterback in that situation. And number two, just making sure they're all on the same page for what's best for Deshaun long term. I want to buy all that, but I actually pushed back on the insiders I had on shows today with a very specific quote from Stefanski at the beginning of October, where he said he's been medically cleared. It's not a pain issue. He knows his body and he's not ready to go. Like, he never said we in that process. He said he, and continually said he throughout the whole quote, which I'm paraphrasing right now, but it was very clear in Stefanski's comments that medically he's cleared, but Deshaun doesn't feel ready to go. When an organization feels like they need to protect them, the quarterback, don't we always see the organization come out and say, we? We all looked at it. We don't believe it can. Like, I think the language on this is weird. I think all of it is strange. And I look at the way he's played, and it's not good enough. So now you have the combination of injury with rust, and like maybe he's never going to be the player he was. Like, if I'm the Browns right now, the thing that makes me the most nervous about who my team can be the rest of the year is Deshaun Watson. And now I'm looking in the mirror and asking myself, my God, 200 full. I asked when he signed that deal, what level of success would it take to make that signing with that controversy worth it? And the answer I got from so many people on national radio at the time was, well, we got to make an AFC championship game, blah, 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 blah. Is there anything right now that makes anybody believe that signing was worth it? Like, the entire Deshaun experiment has failed in every possible way.
Yeah, I mean, their two biggest wins this season, I know, is the Colts, but the way they, 8 lead changes, like back-to-back weeks where PJ Walker looks horrible for 3.5 quarters, but then leads him on a game-winning drive. I mean, 2 of the 4 wins have come with him being on the sideline. So, no, I think all that criticism is definitely warranted. No doubt. I think the trade deadline and the NFL trade deadline, I don't know why. I just feel like over the last couple of years, it's really taken off as far as interest. I mean, I just don't remember the trade deadline ever meaning that much in the NFL. I actually wish they would push it back, Jason. I wish that the trade deadline would be after like week 10. I just feel like you have more football remaining than what you've played to this point. And I just feel like it would add so much more intrigue pushing it back. But if you're the Cleveland Browns, one thing I threw out, and it's not a homer take, it just financially makes sense. Derrick Henry could potentially be available from the Titans. And right now, you're not going to be able to get a quarterback to come in and lead this team offensively to where you want it to go. So you might as well lean into what makes you a good team, and that's the run game. If Derrick Henry's available at $6 million a year for the rest of the season, and he's only a rental, and you don't have to use any of that rollover money from this season, I think that makes a ton of sense. I think this Browns defense is just too damn good for them to sit back and say, well, hopefully we get Deshaun back next week. I think they need to be proactive at the deadline. What's the likelihood of Derrick Henry to Cleveland, or just Derrick Henry anywhere, in your opinion?
I would be pretty surprised if the Titans move on from Derrick Henry, only because of what he means to the organization and what they will get in return. So, like, if you are the Titans right now as an organization, and Amy Adams-Strunk, the owner, understands this, Derrick Henry is a god in Nashville. Like, the Titans don't matter. Derrick Henry does. So if you're going to move on from Derrick Henry, you better have a way you're selling your entire fan base that, hey, this is the right thing to do. Now, Tajay Spears has played pretty well. I get that. But moving on from Derrick Henry for the Titans is, for this fan base, I know this sounds staggering to say this, but for this fan base, it would be the equivalent of, moving on from Aaron Rodgers before all the problems. Like, this fan base views the organization as one man, and it is Derrick Henry. So I think it'd be pretty stunning for the Titans to move on. That also, when you combine that with the fact that Will Levis is now going to be the starting quarterback, are you making Will Levis's job any easier if you don't have Derrick Henry? So I just don't think he's going to be available. But I like what you're saying, and I will tell you, I've talked to multiple people, and the Browns are definitely trying to be players. They are picking up the phone. They are trying to be aggressive in this trade deadline. You're right. It needs to be pushed back. This year is a perfect example. I think the Browns are going to try and be aggressive all over the place. The problem is there are a bunch of teams right now that have 3 wins. And about a third of the league that has 3 wins or less, half the league. That third doesn't know, all right, is 3 wins going to lead to 3-14 and a top pick in the draft that I don't want to get up? Or is 3 wins going to lead to 8-9? That's such a different world. I think teams don't know who they are right now. So I think deals are going to be tougher to be had than most people think.
I think the Cincinnati Bengals are in a world of hurt this upcoming weekend. The 49ers coming off back-to-back losses. Now, even though the Cincinnati Bengals, excuse me.
That's okay, Kev. The Bengals will be all right. Yeah.
The Cincinnati Bengals coming off a bye week, but the Niners got to get off the snide. Do you think the Niners are actually going to lose 3 games in a row? The Bengals traveled out to the 49ers in San Francisco this weekend. What do you think will happen in that game?
I mean, I didn't think there was a chance in hell that they were going to lose to Minnesota, right? Like, and the funny thing is you can't pinpoint specifically what's wrong with the 49ers right now. They're just finding ways to lose games. Like, Christian McCaffrey was not himself. I think we can all agree on that, but he still had 3 touchdowns. Like, I still won my fantasy league because of Christian McCaffrey. So, like, not on him. And Brock Purdy was efficient in this game. Like, I don't look at it and be like, oh, Brock's the problem. Like, obviously they need to get Debo back and healthy. But the other side of it is, Minnesota and Cleveland are now back-to-back teams that defensively have looked really good against the 49ers. I feel like if you're San Francisco, your back's starting to get a little up against the wall. And so I expect a thunder of the gods effort for them. I think they win that game. But, y'all, here's the craziest thing about all of it, and what I think San Francisco and Philly has to know. Look at the Lions' remaining schedule. I think they only have 1 game left on their entire schedule against the team with the winning record. That's real. The Lions have, even if they're not the best team, the Lions have the inside track to the number 1 overall seed, home field advantage, a home game.
Wow.
Like, I would be stunned right now even if the Lions lay an egg like they did last week. The Lions still have a path to 13 wins that is almost insurmountable. So if you're San Francisco, like if you're Philly, boy, you got to keep pace because like you got to win all of these games because they're going to be feasting on the Raiders on Monday night. You know that. But then like you look forward ahead of there, they got teams that are bad all the way across. So I think the Lions in this conversation are going to end up being the number 1 seed, and that means San Francisco needs to get it right now.
Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports. Jason, set us out with this. Joe Burrow, the Bengals coming off the bye week. Bengals fans feel good because Burrow looking more like himself over the last couple of weeks, but the Bengals can't ignore the fact that they have the worst rushing offense in the National Football League. Even if Joe Burrow returns to form, Jason, there were T. Higgins being out still impacts this team. Can the Bengals get back to an AFC Championship game? Can they win this division? Can they be a true player if they remain the worst rushing team in football, in your opinion?
No. Like, I mean, at some point, the Bengals need to look right across the AFC at another team and say, who we don't want to end up being? The Bills. The Buffalo Bills have one offense for you right now. That offense is give the ball to Josh Allen and pray, right? Like we're going to shove the ball into Stephon Diggs. We're going to give the ball to Josh Allen, and we are going to pray. Now, you look at the much better offense right now, and I know that Buffalo beat them head-to-head pretty badly, but much better offense is Miami. What's the biggest change in Miami this year? Like, Mostert is running the ball like a maniac. Achane, when he was healthy, running the ball like a maniac. Like, I think what you have to understand is that at some point, it's not even about rushing attempts. It's about rushing efficiency. And if you can't keep anybody honest through rushing efficiency and you become one-dimensional, you will lose. Like, you'll beat up other bad teams. But when you take on a good team and you are one-dimensional, you are done. So offensive line is going to have to play better. They're going to have to run the football much better. They're going to have to be more efficient through that entire process. And by the way, that takes a lot off of Joe Burrow. Like I thought the Bengals were absolutely one of the easy picks to go to the Super Bowl coming into the season. And I think they're getting it right. But I also look at it and say, man, I don't watch the Bengals and think, yep, this looks easy. This looks efficient. This is not who they've been the last several years. So it's not just Burrow's health. They got to run the football.
Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports, every Wednesday. It's wild, Jason, when we visit next week. The first playoff poll would have been released by then. So it'll be a fun show next Wednesday.
Let's go.
All right, good stuff.
Let's go.
Take care, Jason.
Appreciate you, boys. Thanks.
All right, I'm beating him to it. You notice that? We haven't heard the phone. Yeah. Good stuff. Yes, Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports. There you go. Nonetheless, I'm interested to see how the Bengals look against the Niners coming up this weekend. That was my biggest takeaway about the Bengals is it's fine if Joe Burrow comes back and returns to form, but I don't think they can accomplish their big picture goals. I think they can win games and be competitive in the meantime, but to accomplish what they are built to do, and that is to contend for a Super Bowl, I just don't think they could do that with the lack of a run game nonetheless. Wow. That was just a little bit of time.
Goddamn time.
Someone said they asked if we pay Fitz what McAfee pays Aaron Rodgers every week, and I was like, that's how you know that Jason's a good friend.
Absolutely,
he's a good friend of the show because no, he does not get paid what Aaron Rodgers does to do the Pat McAfee.
He actually likes us.
Yes, and we can't afford it. We'll be right back. Kenner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
You know, I grew up hearing that women are bad with money. But like many of you, I spent years paying bills, managing checking accounts, and taking care of my family. So turns out women are pretty good with money after all. And now I'm taking control of my financial future by saving for retirement. It's never too late to start, and there's a great website to help you. Check out WeSaySaveIt.org and jumpstart your retirement savings on your budget and your timeline. That's WeSaySaveIt.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Nothing slows my little girl down, except a stuffy nose. Mommy. That's why I use Sinex Children's Saline from Vicks. Sinex instantly clears mucus in everyday stuffy little noses with a gentle, ultrafine mist designed for kids. Just Sinex? Breathe. Her stuffy nose is gone for now. And so is she.
Sinex Children's Saline. Sinex, breathe. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Families in poverty are facing a global food crisis. $50 provides a food kit to feed a family for a month. Just text the word radio to 97646.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
Are you involved with a school or charitable fundraiser that holds an auction, bid and buy booth, or a raffle to raise money? Many of the most popular items at auctions or booths are autographed sports memorabilia items. How can you get great items in your event? Call Adam Walter at Sports Investments. Sports Investments has a consignment program for fundraisers that has provided outstanding items. You select items that are proven sellers, including autographed pieces from Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Big Red Machine, the Bengals, the Browns, UC, XU, UK, NKU, Dayton, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Sports Investments consigns the items to your group at a highly discounted price. And when they sell, you keep the profit. You don't pay anything in advance. And if something doesn't sell, you simply return it. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Walter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email Adam at sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275, just 40 minutes from WING.
Hey, Cordell Transportation is now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers, excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply right now, online at CordellTransportation.com. Do it right now. Driven to succeed.
Are you in need of a notary?
Your Montgomery County Clerk of Court's office now offers a free online notary.
This service does require a camera.
Next time you need a notary, go to courthousetoyou.com and click Online Notary to submit your request. You can get it done right in your own home or office.
Did we mention there's no cost to you?
This is a free service brought to you by Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts.
Paid for by the American Hospital Association. Each day and in every community, hospitals and health systems are committed to delivering high-quality medical care, but they're also supporting people and communities in a wide variety of other ways. A new report shows that hospitals provided nearly $130 billion in total benefits to their communities, providing around-the-clock care and essential services, while also addressing unmet health needs. Heidi Gartland of University Hospitals.
Our hospital in Cleveland, Ohio is committed to meeting the unique needs of our community. Each year, we work with thousands of local partners to identify the greatest health challenges, and this is where we invest and focus our work. A couple of those examples include our Food for Life program that works on food insecurity. We work with our partners to help with legal medical issues such as housing and homelessness and other sorts of barriers to care such as utility cutoffs. These are the kinds of things that help our community thrive, and we invest in them every day.
To view the full report and learn more, visit AHA.org.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a game-changing checking account with cash back. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Dayton sports fans, for more local sports content, make sure to subscribe to Dayton's ESPN Radio YouTube channel. And don't miss the Miami Valley's only local sports talk show, The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 Wing AM.
Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Kev, so I'm glad we talked about that with Fitz because, and what we talked about, of course, was someone called me out on the hypocrisy of, Kinner, I feel like you're stirring the pot by saying that you don't think Ohio State could win a national championship. You're sitting there saying that they deserve to be in the top 4. Why would you say a team that has no chance of winning a title, why would you put them in the top 4? And I was like, valid.
Well, they got the wins.
And yes, 100%. That's what's weird about college football is, and I've always said, the college football playoff has never been about the 4 best teams. It has always been about the 4 best resumes. And Ohio State is a perfect example of that. Now, I'm conflicted. I mean, maybe it's the homerism in me. I don't know. I know Ohio State's good enough to win the championship, but my opinion is based on if any other team had the deficiencies offensively that they did, I would say that team doesn't have a chance.
Would they have the same wins though?
In Ohio State, if it was Clemson that was 8-0, they had a bad offensive line, no run game, and just solid. And I'm going to upgrade McCord. It's not fair for me to say below average. If he was below average, they couldn't get Marvin Harrison going.
Right.
I think bad quarterback plays when you can't even get your weapons going. If McCord is still finding ways to allow Marvin Harrison Jr., and that's the talent of Harrison, don't get me wrong, but trust me, bad quarterback play can neutralize your talent on that field. And let's just narrow it down to the quarterback thing. Fine. Are we fair? What 1 to 10, Kyle McCord, rank him as a quarterback. On a scale of 1 to 10, not top 10 quarterbacks. Scale of 1 to 10, who is he as a quarterback talent level wise?
6.5.
So above average.
A little bit above average.
Fair. And I've been saying average to below average. He's not below average. That's not fair. I'm willing to lean that way a little bit. But it is. But I thought it was a good counterpoint. Like, how can you say they're of a top 4 team but don't have a chance to win a national championship? Well, it's because the playoff has never been about 4 best teams, 4 best resumes. But I still believe Ohio State's a top 4 team at the same time. It doesn't make. I'm a hypocrite.
Welcome to college football, man. That's where it's all about. It's about the argument. It's about the who have you played, and that's the cool part about it. Like, we can look clearly at the polls, even though technically these polls don't count. But, they got wins over Notre Dame, who's a top 15 team, wins over Penn State, who's a top 10 team. So says the poll. So going off of that, they got the wins. The only quote-unquote real win that Georgia has is over Kentucky. I think they're like at 24 right now.
Yep.
Michigan has none of those wins.
We're going to talk with Bobby Carpenter coming up in a bit. And one thing I want to make sure, I hope to remember to ask him, but I'll ask you. With the investigation and the scandal and everything else, how much of an impact will that have on their playoff ranking a week from last night? How
much will it have? I believe none.
I don't think it should.
Definitely don't think it should. It shouldn't have anything to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've been accused of cheating. They're doing their investigation, and they can only go off of the results of the game. So until there's 1,000,000% yes, this is what they did to cheat, and they're disqualified, they should rank them accordingly. And in my mind, they're the number 1 team in the country.
Good stuff. Yahoo Sports, Jason Fitz. We'll have that coming up for you later on in the program. For those of you who missed it, excited to talk with Bobby Carpenter, former Buckeye, to get a player's perspective. It's one thing for us to weigh in and our listeners to weigh in, and a lot of us, our football experience stopped after, in high school, and we could only go so far with our high school football experience to weigh in on these
speak for yourself
situations. And I'm saying that loosely, of course, but I am fascinated. Bobby Carpenter, who played at Ohio State, on defense, the sign stealing stuff obviously definitely benefits the defense. How much better of a player would Bobby Carpenter have been if he knew exactly what was coming down the pipe every single time? And Bobby was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to chat with him for him to give us the player's perspective as far as that's concerned. Let's talk a little Bengals when we come back. I want to get into some association stuff. Everyone making a big deal about LeBron's minutes restriction and how will the Lakers, will they stick to that plan and everything else. And we'll get to that coming up. But Bengals fans, I see some stuff coming in on the chat. Kevin, I'm curious. You've talked about this. The worst run game in football for the Bengals. How much of an impact will that have? I know your take, but after hearing Jason and some of the others who weighed on this, curious your thoughts on that still as far as the Bengals. So the Bengals are going to be very good. As long as Joe Burrow is healthy, they're going to be very good. I think the lack of a run game, and by lack of a run game, I mean the worst run game in football, I still believe that's going to keep them from accomplishing their big goal. AFC Championship, Super Bowl, all that fun stuff. Let's talk about that on the other side. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you're like most people, you've had your fair share of financial questions. Questions like, can I afford my son's travel hockey team? What if my daughter doesn't get that soccer scholarship? Will I be able to enjoy golf in retirement? At Empower, we know these questions can be stressful. We're here to help answer your what ifs and empower what's next. Join 18 million Americans and take control of your financial future. Start today at empower.com. Sponsored by Empower Personal Wealth.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
At Harley-Davidson of Xenia, the atmosphere is positively electric as we look to the future. Our name may have changed, but Harley-Davidson of Xenia has been locally owned since 1984. Under our new management, the staff in store are buzzing to get you set up for the open road. Whether you're shopping for merchandise, a new bike, or just need some maintenance on your current ride, Harley-Davidson of Xenia is here for you. Visit us online to learn more and to place a reservation on your new bike. hdofxenia.com.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
Get 11% off everything at Menards. Give your home a fresh look with the beauty and durability of wall and floor tile from Mohawk. Clean Protect porcelain tiles are waterproof, scratch resistant, and stain resistant. Specially designed to stand up to life's everyday mess. Right now, Meridian Falls 6x24 porcelain floor and wall tiles are just $169 each after rebate. Good through October 29th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Discover credit cards do something awesome. At the end of your first year, they automatically double all the cash back you've earned. That's right. Everything you've earned, double. See terms and check it out for yourself at discover.com/match.
Do you have an old sports program, baseball, photo, ticket, or game-used equipment just collecting dust? Sports Investments wants to buy your sports memorabilia. They're also interested in old sports cards and also buying political, aviation, and entertainment items. Bring your collectibles to Sports Investments and get a fair value on the spot. If you decide to sell, they'll pay you immediately. Sports Investments is the largest buyer of memorabilia and cards in the area since 1993. Sports Investments also feature the best selection of autographed memorabilia, sports cards, and other collectible items for sale, including all your favorites like Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Bengals, the Browns, the Big Red Machine, UC, XU, UK, NKU, UD, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State, just to name a few. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Walter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email Adam at sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275, just 40 minutes from WING.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. With kids back at school, keeping them healthy is important. Make Exergen thermometer the chosen thermometer for your home or business to check for fever, where accuracy matters. When measuring temperature at home and at work, use an Exergen thermometer to keep your family and colleagues safe. Available at Walgreens and other participating retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com.
What's for dinner? Burgers? After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
All right, and we are back. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 Wing AM. We asked the question with the college football playoff poll that comes out next week, how much of an impact will this, I would help it. Mike's on. My first day on the job, Kinner? My gosh.
Hello?
Yes, now we're off and rolling. So, okay, we were just debating before the pause in the show, how much of an impact, when the college football playoff rankings come out next week, how much of an impact will this investigation into Michigan's cheating scandal, how much of an impact will that have on the committee? Look, I don't know how much of an impact it will have. I think that, considering the fact that there is literal, very good evidence of them cheating to give them a competitive advantage. Obviously, they have to come out with the final ruling. It would be tough. I'm a committee member to sit there and say definitively that they deserve to be at the top of college football, the mountain right now, with in the back of my head about all the cheating that they've done. They're undefeated and they look good doing it, but how much of that is because of what they've been doing to give themselves a competitive advantage? I don't think it'll have an impact, but for me, if I'm on that committee, I'm thinking that. But there also is a very good chance something crazy is going to happen. The playoff poll loves when there's an opportunity to present itself, to differentiate it from the AP poll. They love to kind of force that on people and say, hey, we don't care what the AP says. We don't care what the coaches poll. We don't care about your poll. Here is based on the resumes and everything else. Michigan, there's a very good chance they may not be in the top 4 next week when that comes out. As wild as that sounds, I don't think that'll be because of everything going on. I just think it's simply put, there's just 4 better resumes out there, as we've discussed in the past. But I am fascinated to see how much of an impact this investigation will have on the playoff committee when it's all said and done.
Yeah, if the committee says that about Michigan not being in the top 4, they have every right in the world to say that because of the back half of their schedule. That's where you find the Penn State and obviously find Ohio State, and then basically playing a cupcake non-conference schedule. So that would be no fault of their own, technically. We can talk around the non-conference schedule, but those are the conference games they chose to play. So if they chose to do that, that's perfectly fine. I still feel like, they shouldn't put this whole cloud that's over them right now on the table when talking about them where they should rank. I think that they should let the investigation play out, and then after it's done and plays out, then they have more evidence on the table. Then they can decide how they want to treat them. If the NCAA says that they're going to be officially a bowl ban, so then you can just not rank them at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's been done before with teams like Auburn back in the day, where this was before, the CFP and before the BCS and everything like that. They ran the table undefeated, but they were left out of the bowls because they were on the bowl ban because the NCAA came down hard on them. So I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Well, I think the playoff committee should treat the show next week like the draft does. All right, we got, this quarterback. Teams are looking at him, but his dad's a crackhead, and his mom used to turn no, but bottom line, but you think I'm joking, but like that's been said on those shows. Like, so what does that have to do with well, what do those things have to do with the draft? And we've heard some crazy things then, but nonetheless, so Shaw believes, he just messaged into the show. I'll make sure that
Shawski.
He says, how much of an impact will it have? He said 0. The school hasn't even been notified about an investigation, so 0.
Okay, I'm not sure what that actually means. Just because they haven't been notified don't mean an investigation isn't going on. The feds don't hit you up when they're about to do a RICO case on somebody and let them know, hey man, just to let you know you're under RICO investigation. No, they start doing it, and then once they got all their evidence, they present it to the grand jury. So,
and what's that interview? John Bacon on Morning Juice on the Fan this morning. And we'll talk about it with Bobby coming up. But I mean, it sounds like the whistleblower that's turning Michigan in is a Michigan guy,
Michigan man,
a Michigan guy. Like, and it's
this topic right here can totally derail our show because we could talk about this all day. We could have talked about it all day with Fitzy. I'm sure you and I talk about it nonstop in the hallway and everything like that. And I'm sure what Michigan fans are thinking is like, you're only saying this because you're a Buckeye. You're only saying this because you're a Buckeye. Look, man, I would say this if this was Ohio State. I definitely would be saying this if it was Alabama. Look, man, we can say it was just scouting. You can have the guys on ESPN, the former players, talking about it, but it's clearly stated in the rules about advanced scouting with digital equipment that you can't do it. I mean, that's what happened with the Houston Astros. So if the Houston Astros were cheaters, so are the Wolverines. It's clear as day. It's that simple. It's that simple. I'm not sure what else is there to talk about.
Shaw responded. It means that Michigan and again, we said, will this investigation have an impact on the perception of that team up north when the first playoff poll comes out next week? Shaw said, absolutely none. And he goes, it means that Michigan has 90 days to respond, which is after the national championship. Respond to what? They haven't even been notified of an investigation. This is sounding like his phone call the other day, as far as that goes. But we got some audio from Jim Harbaugh, right?
Yes.
Exclusive audio from Jim Harbaugh.
Exclusive.
Interesting.
Exclusive.
Shaw, you're going to want to listen to this. You're going to like this. You're going to like this. Jim Harbaugh addresses the media for the first time.
Thank you, everyone, for coming and allowing me to address this. The rumors are true. We have been scouting some other teams, but how was I supposed to know that was illegal? We Michigan men do anything we can to get ahead, even if it may seem dirty. I'd like to remind you all that in spite of recent minor success, I am still 1-6 in bowl games and 2-5 against the Ohio State University. I'm just doing what I can to drag this sorry program out of the mud.
Oh, man.
Coming clean.
We cut out the part where he said, Shaw, stop embarrassing our program or something. We cut that out, but can you believe that?
I can believe it. He's coming clean.
From his mouth to your ears, people.
Right here on 1410 Wing AM, exclusive.
By the way, there's some dangerous technology out there, by the way.
Definitely.
Obviously not Harbaugh. I mean, that's probably what he's thinking. Whatever. But where we get that audio, just so we're on the safe
Twitter
side
box.
Twitter, yeah, the Twitter,
X.
Twitter machine, as far as that's concerned. But you already know.
Go for it. Go ahead, derail it.
I haven't derailed it yet. Permission, sir.
Go for it.
Yes, Shaw, you are on live. Welcome.
You think you're funny, don't you?
Who, Kev? Because if you want to know a secret, I didn't actually get that audio. In fact, I was instructed to play that audio. So you're going to get mad at Kev or just me?
He got me yesterday, and that's why I stopped listening yesterday.
Oh, Kevin, we're losing listeners because of you.
Me?
He said so.
So, I did have an actual topic to talk about, but I guess we'll talk about this. You're right. I'm depressed and I'm sad. We shouldn't have done it. And
what? I thought you didn't do anything.
Even though we don't know what rule we broke. And
11.6.1.
Yeah, read the exceptions. Then it might teach you something.
11.6.1.
And we still don't know what a scout is. But yes, you're right. I'm depressed and I'm sad and sorrow that our team whipped your tail 42-20. And Yeah, can we move on to another subject now? Because I told you all your talking points.
Why you so angry?
Oh, I'm not angry. I'm just ready to move on.
Move on. Are we breaking up?
No.
Listen, we're not going to get anywhere with this topic. You're not going to change your mind. It's not even about changing your mind. Look, they violated. I mean, the whole reason they're being investigated is because there's clear evidence of 11.6.1, which is scouting in person.
Read the exceptions.
Okay, if you're just going to keep talking like that, then what are the exceptions? Shaw, educate us. You keep saying keep up. Fine, let me keep up with you. You don't need to because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So if you,
no, I do know what the fuck I'm talking
about.
Oh!
Why? You gave me permission. And that is how the Shaw era ends on the Kinner and Kev show.
Yeah, that's the big one. What's this?
Man, he didn't even last an entire month.
This is January, buddy. This is next year, man. That's the big word, man. That's that dead. That could get us in trouble with the big word, man.
Yeah.
Let's see you next year, dog.
11.6.1. All right, can we just let's just do this. The association. You want to talk association?
Sure.
See, you shouldn't have given me permission to
oh, it's my fault that he cussed.
That there's a reason I said permission. I got permission.
My fault that someone else cussed. Okay.
Oh. Man, and I get it.
We're so childish. Like, so for real. Hey, we're laughing like we about to get an email, dude.
Everyone's like, back in jail. Steve's back in jail. Shaw says he don't give a damn. All right. Damon Hahn says Shaw, just a bunch of LOLs. Someone said, oh no. Well, it was heard. So there's that.
Oh, good. I don't want to check my email. I know there's an email from a certain operations manager saying, what are you guys doing over there?
Morgan Garber said, is this the Kinner and Kev show or the Pat McAfee show? Holy moly.
We don't get paid like McAfee, I can tell you that.
We do not. Ron Howard says, I'm no longer the bad guy on the show.
Correct.
He's a repeat offender. 11.6.1. There you have it.
Shaw, come on, bro.
Yeah, Jacob.
See you on Friday night, Shaw. Go Elks.
Okay, let's try to do a sports talk show on the other side. We'll be right back. It's all Michigan's fault. If Michigan just followed the rules, we wouldn't have to deal with crybaby fans. My goodness.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast, mostly cloudy, 59 the overnight low, mostly cloudy, 76 Thursday, rain on Friday, and 78. I'm Rick Schrepp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey, Buckeye fans, as the official wing sponsor of your Ohio State Buckeyes, Roosters is giving away 12 trips for two to this year's Buckeye Bowl game. Each trip comes complete with airfare, hotel, gift bag, and 2 tickets to the big game. One bowl prize winner will be chosen each week, along with other cool Roosters weekly prizes. So register every week at roosterswings.com. Roosters, a fun casual joint and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Official contest rules at roosterswings.com.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
A new season is here and an exciting new career is waiting. KTH Parts Industries in St. Paris is now hiring second shift production associates and offers an outstanding new pay rate of $20.24 an hour. This is an excellent opportunity that offers an attractive benefit package, medical, dental, and 401k. KTH offers the advantage of being a short drive from home, just minutes away from Bellefontaine, Troy, Piqua, and Urbana. The position will fill quickly, so please apply now at kth.net. KTH is proud to be an equal
equal opportunity employer.
At Harley-Davidson of Xenia, the atmosphere is positively electric as we look to the future. Our name may have changed, but Harley-Davidson of Xenia has been locally owned since 1984. Under our new management, the staff and store are buzzing to get you set up for the open road. Whether you're shopping for merchandise, a new bike, or just need some maintenance on your current ride, Harley-Davidson of Xenia is here for you. Visit us online to learn more and to place a reservation on your new bike. hdofxenia.com.
Hi, Greg McAfee here from McAfee Heating and Air. Dayton and the Miami Valley enjoy buying products made in the USA. Unfortunately, many HVAC products are now made in the communist country of China, and that's where the profits go too. McAfee systems come from the states of Indiana, South Carolina, Iowa, and Texas, and we're proud of it. 32 years strong. Get an estimate online at mcair.com.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Hey, thinking of getting the latest iPhone? Then check out the amazing wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just dial pound 250 on your phone and say Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from this station's network.
You're supposed to have an influence on me, not the other way around.
Dude, I didn't do anything. It was a little jokey joke, a little hee ha ha. And Shaw took it to level 10.
And, you know, I'll take a little responsibility of getting him fired up at this. It's not that getting him fired up, but, you know, talking to him a certain way and, you know, you get what you put out there. Well, at the same time, you call in to have an argument, but you don't want to provide anything. You just say, you know, oh, what are the exceptions? Well, I'm admitting I don't know what the exceptions it is that he's talking about. 11.6.1 states you cannot go and scout opponents in person, especially opponents that you are playing that season. And this is, they have evidence of this being, or at least close. I mean, they have evidence that was worth investigating for the last couple of years. And the aesthetics of everything show that, okay, Michigan went from not being able to beat Ohio State, not being able to live up to expectations. I mean, Harbaugh had to take a pay cut, takes a pay cut the same season that they hired this dude. And then all of a sudden, they just take off magically out of nowhere. Their recruiting rankings didn't improve or get better. It's not as if like all of a sudden it was the fruits of the recruiting class that all of a sudden just exploded. No, like everything was the same. So I'm not even definitively saying that 100% sure that that's what happened. But, I mean, come on, there's just way too many coincidences there. And also, Ohio State and Michigan beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
They were tougher than Ohio State. You know, there will be asterisks next to those wins, though, if more comes out of this and there is definitive proof that there was a lot that went on. And trust me, they put a lot of effort to scout Tennessee and some of these other programs. Okay, that's great. But don't act like they didn't give Ohio State way more attention, because Harbaugh, in his defense, you lose to Urban Meyer during that whole run. Now you keep losing to Ryan Day. You're definitely fired. This isn't about flirting with taking an NFL job. That's the only way you're going to be employed moving forward, because they would have fired his ass. So yeah, it is what it is. So anyways, 11.6.1, he said there's exceptions. I asked what those were, and he wanted to, be a child. So
yeah, I mean, exceptions with people's cell phones and buying tickets and flying people out, like it's just bad. And the whole rhetoric about, everybody's doing it. Show me everybody else doing this, because we have evidence of this program doing that. We don't have evidence of Utah doing this, Texas doing this, Georgia, Bama. Like, we don't have evidence of that. We have evidence of a staffer, a low-level staffer, whatever that is, doing this, doing some extra scouting, which is illegal. You know what I'm saying? And then you combine that with the scouting that's legal. You should be able to do what you did to Ohio State defensively. You should be able to do that. But like you said, hey, it is what it is. They won the 2 games in a row. It is what it is. And kind of like how Coach Day trying to move forward with the situation and everything like that, not wanting to talk about it. But this will be a reckoning on the program one way or another. One way or another, it's all going to come out in the wash. Yeah,
and again, we're trying to use those low-level staffer. How many low-level staffers are standing directly and pacing up and down the sideline with the defensive coordinator, with the head coach? Trust me, coaches on game day, they barely give a rip about their main assistant coaches. They don't have time for the low staff, the guys at the bottom of the totem pole in that coaching staff, interim coaches and all, or intern coach, whatever you want to call them. So it is what it is. We've spent more time on this than I wanted, but it is what it is. It's every show you turn on is being talked about. So I feel bad, but I don't. I do want to talk some NFL, and I want to talk some NBA because the association officially tipped off last night. Tonight, we get to see Obi Toppin for the first time with the Indiana Pacers. That's pretty damn exciting. I'm excited to see Tumani Kamara and see what opportunities he gets in Portland, and the Cleveland Cavaliers in action coming up later on tonight.
Yes, sir.
And, Giannis and Dame Time. We get to see them in action tonight. So there's a lot of fun and exciting stuff that Shaw cannot effing ruin for everyone, as far as that.
See you in 2024.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll probably see him at the Centerville game on Friday. Hear from you on the show in 2024.
Yeah, but he'll blame me, not you. So you'll be fine. You'll be fine. So I asked this question, and if we would have just stuck to the script,
it was funny until then. It was entertaining until then.
I just thought he learned his lesson. But what did Ron say? Hold on, I gotta find Ron's comment. Ron Howard said, "Not only does Michigan break the rules, so does Shaw. It must be a Michigan thing." Ron's just loving this. Like,
right? Like, hey, I'm in the clear.
Steve Stetler wants to know, Kev, did you open your email?
I did, and there is an email.
Really?
Yes.
From who?
From who?
Oh, from never mind. But you know what my favorite part is? They'll call him, Kenner, I need to talk to your boss. All right, who you want? Like, who runs wing? Oh, you're speaking to him. So if you want to tattle on me, to me, by all means, let's go. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I didn't say the word. Kevin
No.
Yeah.
No. It's the same old email. What are you guys doing over there?
Oh, yeah. But and fair. Okay.
Got another meeting tomorrow, by the way.
I'm sure we do, and we got all the time in the world. So, I threw before that mess took over. I threw out so we had Jason Fitz on earlier and talked about the Cincinnati Bengals coming out of the bye week. That bye week, I'm sure, could have come sooner based on all the injuries that the Bengals have faced. But you know what? They survived it. They got to the bye week. They're 3-3. They're 500. They're in the best division in football, so they have that working against them. But at the same time, they've been able to weather the storm, and that should be the worst Burrow looks, assuming there's no setback or further injuries and all that stuff. And look, even as a Bengals hater, I don't want that. If the Browns and Bengals are playing in week 17 for a playoff spot, I don't want it to be the Browns against the Bengals backup quarterback. I want it to be Browns Bengals playing for, either a spot in the playoffs or seeding in the playoffs. I want both of them in. I want a chance where they run into one another. I want that chaos. I want that smoke, however you want to go with that. So I'm not, and then definitely, as much as I like to pile on the Bengals, I never root for injuries, not even close. So let's just get that out of the bag. But coming out of this bye week, they're 3-3. They weathered the storm. They got a Niners team, and Kev, you bring up a good point. I thought, man, this is a good thing. They got a Niners team that's reeling a little bit. But one thing you don't want to face is the best team in any particular sport coming off of a loss, because it's rare that the best team in sports loses back-to-back games, especially in the NFL. It's even more rare for the best team in football to lose back-to-back. So I don't know what's more likely. The Bengals getting a huge win coming out of the bye week. That sounds like, oh yeah, that sounds about right. Joe Burrow's getting rest and all this stuff. But I also can't physically stomach saying that the Niners are about to lose 3 straight games. I just can't see that happening either. I think, and this is, coming into the season, we circled it a potential Super Bowl preview, and it still very well might be, but there's a lot that has to happen between now and the end of the season for that to be the case. More so because the Bengals situation, that run game is still a concern to me. I think you don't have to have a dominant run game. I didn't even think of that. The comparison of them to the Bills, Josh Allen, they've been a high-powered passing offense for years, but what's kept them from accomplishing their big picture goals is no run game. Well, the Bengals don't just have a limited run game. They have the worst run game in football. That is something I didn't think about. That's what's kept and held the Bills back, and it could hold the Bengals back and probably will at this point unless they fix it.
Okay, so let me ask you
I know,
this.
I threw a lot.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So what do you trust more? The San Francisco 49ers bouncing back after 2 straight losses on a short week because they played on Monday Night Football, so they're playing on a short week, or the Cincinnati Bengals off of a bye week. So I forgot the Niners played on Monday Night Football. Somebody chimed in on the comments saying, well, they played on Monday Night Football, so like the Bengals should be able to get this win. They're short week, kind of banged up. Brock Purdy is in concussion protocol, so things are shaping up for the Cincinnati Bengals maybe to get this dub over the San Francisco 49ers, and then that would put the Niners with 3 losses.
Bengals.
And with how the Seahawks are playing, they got the Browns coming to their place. Deshaun's not playing. They got PJ Walker, and kind of like, wait a minute, the Seahawks are here to play. It's going to get crazy for the San Francisco 49ers, but this is an opportunity for the Bengals out of the bye week to get a huge road victory, and then they go up against the Bills in Houston at home. So,
yeah, Browns 3.5-point dogs at Seattle, and the Bengals are 3-point dogs at 49ers. 2 tough games for both, for a lot of different reasons. That is, the short week too. That's another wild card in all of this. Bottom line is, for you sports betting folk out there, stay the hell away from this matchup. I'd stay the hell away from both of those. But the Bengals, it seems like, and I think a lot of money is going to go on the Bengals, by the way, especially because San Fran's getting, they're 3.5 or they're 3-point favorites. I think a lot of money is going to be put on the Bengals to come out of that. And that's fine. That makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. This is one of those, and that's why we love the NFL, because theoretically the Niners should win this football game. The Bengals can't run the football, even though Joe Burrow was better against the Seahawks. Keep in mind, he didn't throw for over 200 yards. You started to see some of those offensive woes come back that we saw a lot in weeks 1 through 4. So I think this is a good measuring stick game, coming out of this bye week for the Cincinnati Bengals. If they lose, it's not at the end of the world, because mathematically they're still right there.
Right.
But if they lose because Joe Burrow can't throw for more than 200 yards and can't move the football up and down the field, and they can't run the football, Kev, then I think you have to get close to hitting the panic button. I don't think you hit the panic button, but you have to, because a bye week, that means the bye week didn't fix the offense. My phone just died, so there goes my picture. Sorry, everyone. Yeah, I know you guys are all so disappointed. But no, at the end of the day, it's one of those situations where the offense isn't better. And what else do you do at this point? The bye week couldn't fix it. This is a big game for the Cincinnati Bengals. They can lose, but they have to look good doing it. I know that sounds wild because they've looked horrible in all their wins. Now they need to look good, and even a loss at the very least. I'm fascinated by that matchup when we get there.
Huge game. Huge game. I mean, it's huge game. I mean, every matchup in the NFL is huge, but I mean, you kind of look at what the Ravens did by dismantling the Lions. The Steelers were able to pull off another 4th quarter victory on the road versus the Rams. What the Cleveland Browns and their defense was able to do against the Colts. Now they travel all the way up to Seattle, and now the Jacksonville travels to Pittsburgh. Who does Baltimore have this week?
Baltimore, let's see. I will tell you. Are they on a bye? Are they at the? It doesn't have the bye week teams. Oh, they got the Cardinals. They're at the Cardinals. They're 8.5-point favorite at Arizona. So,
and this is a game where the Ravens lose most of the time. After we think they got it all figured out, this is where they go up and throw a stinker up.
That Steelers game's a prime. Steelers are better than we thought, or than most people thought heading into this point. But yeah, that's the NFL in general, which is why I thought the Browns, after beating the Niners last week, I thought that they would lose to the Colts, and they almost did. I guess the NFL, and look, by the way, people keep sending me the article that the NFL came out and said they got 2 major calls wrong late in that fourth quarter that led to the Browns winning. And you know what I say to that? Boo-hoo. You know how many games that the Browns have lost over the years that they get those little sad sap messages from the NFL? Hey, sorry, guys, we missed a couple pivotal calls. Like when they lost to the Ravens last year at Baltimore, there was multiple holding calls that were just straight up missed, that they ended up getting letters from the NFL saying, yeah, sorry, we missed it. Or that there was a holding call against the Browns, or the offside. They lined up offsides. They never lined up offsides. They got the apology, but because of that penalty, it put the Ravens in field goal range, and Justin Tucker hit the 50-plus yard field goal to win the damn game. So I don't care. The Browns have always got those little emails from the league saying, oh, sorry, we got it wrong. Now they've benefited the last couple of weeks. The Browns have actually got calls late in games that they normally don't get. They have won games the last 2 weeks that they normally don't win. So there you go. What do you want, Ron? You're on live. You don't cuss. Damn it. Yeah, I answered too late. Ron, call back. Just promise not to swear. But yeah, the Browns, I don't feel bad that they won because of some bad calls that went against the Colts. The Browns have been getting bad calls for years. I'm fine with it.
Steelers got a call to go their way as well. That 4th and 1 that they spotted Kenny Pickett for the first down. He was clearly short, but the Rams didn't have any more challenges. If they would have had a challenge, they would have been able to challenge. They would have won that challenge and got the ball back because it was before the 2-minute warning. They didn't have any challenges to do it, so they were bleep out of luck. So bad calls. What else is new with sports?
All right, let's try this. Is this Mr. Ron? Ron, you're on live. Don't cuss.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up?
Hey, man, I heard this is the only show in town you're allowed to use words like that. But
as I've said before on radio, you could say anything once. We're not encouraging that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, man. Like, you really think Watson's injury is worse than what it is? I mean, they keep saying, "Oh, he's going to play next week. He's going to play next week," and it don't look like it's going to happen. I mean, are they hiding something there? Or,
look, with the Browns, you can never count anything crazy out. But I think that this is an injury on the throwing shoulder of a quarterback, and a guy that, look, Deshaun Watson's always been a guy that has been labeled as a guy that doesn't have a super strong arm as it is. So anything that's going to take it off. Look, Deshaun has not earned the benefit of the doubt of, oh my gosh, if he was healthy, the Browns would be cruising. But I do know this: even his average games have been significantly better than what they've gotten from PJ Walker the last couple of weeks, and they've come away with 2 big wins. So they beat the Niners maybe a little easier if he's healthy, and they beat the Colts, and maybe it doesn't come down to the final play if he's playing the way he did. I mean, the sad thing about the Browns, I know you're not sad, Ron. They were coming off of the best game of Deshaun Watson's Browns career against the Titans, throwing for close to almost to 300 yards, multiple touchdowns. I mean, and it was the best game he's had as a Cleveland Brown. It looked like the offense finally opened it up. They balanced it with the run, great pass attack, boom, off they go. And then right after that, this injury happens, or the injury happened technically in the Titans game, and they haven't been able to build off of that. So it just, there's a couple steps forward, 10 steps backwards, the Deshaun Watson experience in Cleveland.
Yeah. And like with the Niners now, I mean, you think Purdy's starting to get exposed? I mean, people are starting to figure him out a little bit, or, I mean, they're not, he's doing all right, but he's not really looking like he was. You think the tape's showing the deal, or what?
Possibly. I mean, he won 15 straight regular season games. I mean, there's Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, elite level quarterbacks like that haven't won 15 regular season games in a row. There's a ton of talent in San Francisco, but I mean, there's a ton of talent in Cincinnati and a ton of talent on a lot of these teams. Bottom line is, I don't think he's as good as what some people were hoping he would be, but I definitely don't think he's a bad quarterback. I still think he's a very good quarterback. You don't accidentally win 15 straight in the National Football League. That's just my take.
I just think it's the NFL.
Yeah.
Like the NFL going NFL.
Yeah, my team heads up north tomorrow. You think they got a chance?
Who they got?
They got
the
Buffalo.
Bills. Yeah, that's right. That's interesting. Baker, why do you worry about your quarterback, Ron? Is Baker coming back down to earth? Is you're getting more Cleveland Baker than you are Bucks Baker.
I read a lot of the Times, Tampa Bay Times, in a sports column, and he's not real happy, and they're blaming a lot of it on their offensive coordinator, this Dave Canales they got up from Seattle, and I mean, they just don't have the personnel, according to them, that it'll work, but they're sticking to it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do make a move for a running back by the deadline. I mean, none of their guys they're averaging 2.3 a carry. I mean, you got to have somebody. The only guy that did any good is coming back from the IR. His name was, he came from Miami. I'm trying to think of his name, but I don't know.
Way.
I think what's that?
No, and Ron, I don't mean to rush you off. It was great hearing from you. You are no longer the potty mouth of the show, so congratulations. But we'll talk soon.
All right, you mother. No. All right, talk to you later.
Yeah, maybe. What are you doing, Ron? You're giving us PTSD thanks to Psycho Shaw, who, by the way, now he's jumped over to YouTube to yell at us.
Oh,
now he's on the YouTube. He said, first off, dude has been on the staff before Harbaugh got his pay cut. Secondly, I didn't even say everyone else is doing it. Okay.
I know what you did say.
Yeah. Pray and prove it. What are these exceptions? Jeff Gluck said Purdy is out for Sunday. Sam Darnold is starting. What? Oh, Sam Darnold is starting. Has that come out? I have not followed.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Let's do one more. We got Adam. Adam, welcome. You're on live.
Hey, guys. Thanks for the call. Quick NBA question here for you guys, kind of opinion. Cavs, do you think they can get to 50 wins? And is there any chance they get more than two All-Stars this year besides Garland and Mitchell? But I don't know if they get 50 wins just with how the top four in the East have upgraded. I still consider Philly a better team than them and include reference top four.
So, Kev, do you think they can get over 50 wins?
No.
Adam, thank you.
No, they're going to be about 45 max, 5 seed at best. I mean, obviously the Bucks are better. Obviously the Celtics are better. Probably Philly's probably better than them. Got to deal with the Heat as well. So that's 4 teams right there. The Pacers are going to be improved. What is Brooklyn going to do? The Knicks, who they lost to in the first round of the playoffs, that's 7 teams right there. It's going to be tough for the Cavs, man. I think a lot of us Cavs fans are just mad how the season ended last year. We would have been okay losing to the Knicks. It was just the Knicks just bullied us and beat our tails. And the only guy out there that had a good series was Karis LeVert. Donovan Mitchell didn't play good. Jared Allen didn't play good. Garland didn't play good. Mobley didn't play good. The one guy, Karis LeVert, was the only guy aggressive and actually making things happen on the offensive end and not getting bullied around. So I think that is playing into how we feel about the season going into it. Like, look, man, they just didn't play good when it really counted in the playoffs. So I don't think they hit 50 wins.
Yeah, the Cleveland Cavaliers in action tonight. They'll tip off the season 7:30 in Brooklyn. Cleveland Cavaliers 2.5 point favorites at Old Brooklyn. Let's continue to go down the list. Celtics, Knicks, that'll be a good one. Boston, a 4-point favorite. They'll be playing in New York at Madison Square Garden. Obi Toppin and the Indiana Pacers, they're 5-point favorites with the Wizards in town. I'm curious how many Flyer fans in the area are going down to the field house to check them out.
No, but a quick drive.
It's actually not that bad. I mean, I'm surprised there's not more Pacer fans in the area just because that's the closest NBA team to go. I mean, when my friends and I, when we go to games, we always go to we're not Pacer fans, but it's the closest.
Right.
We'd love to go to more Cavs games, but we can get for under 2 hours, and it's so easy just to drive right into downtown Indy, get a parking spot, and boom, the arena's right there. So I love when the NCAA tournament's there. That's one of the more convenient cities to just drive into, park, and get to a fun event in the area. Nonetheless, I'm excited to see Obi tonight. Is he a starter?
Yes.
He's
over starting, yeah.
20 plus minutes.
Yeah. He'll get probably about 25 to 30,
minutes.
25 to 30 minutes a game.
What's his stat line tonight?
I'm going to say he goes for 18-9.
18-9. Interesting. Kenner and Cap, 14:10.
3 dunks.
AM. Bobby Carpenter will actually be calling in live coming up in hour 3. I promise you we'll be hearing from Bobby Carpenter. We pushed it back to the next hour. We had to convince him to do the show. He didn't want to be associated with the show with, Potty Mouth Shaw, so we had to assure him that he's in jail for a couple months. So, no, joking, but we'll hear from obviously Bobby Carpenter coming up here around the corner. So, Kenner and Kev Show, 14:10, Wing AM.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Now's the time to get a great deal on Kubota construction equipment featuring durable Kubota engines, more comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. The Kubota construction